Could you expand on this, please? I've heard it many times, but I don't get it. Why does understanding how genes, plants' life cycle, and evolution work brings you to the conclusion that there is a God/creator? Question mark. Would proof of life on another planet waver your belief in God? Question mark. So this is an interesting question. It was posted 7 days ago. I'm sorry that it took so long for me to respond. And this is about a statement that I have said in a video. And for context, let's take a look at what I've said to trigger this comment.
The conclusion is obvious that this cannot be from nothing. This must be from a creator. Right? So it's not because of lack of understanding or something. It is because due to the understanding, especially scientific understanding, that is uncovered in the recent time of man history. That's for me at least.
Alright, so that's the video. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Anyway, so that is the comment, right? I made a statement that our belief, my belief in God, in a creator, is not due to lack of understanding of how things happen, right? Like people say, God of the gaps, right? Meaning that, how did that happen? Why is raining? Why is thunder, etc.? We cannot explain, hence God. That's not where I come from. Where I come from is when you explain those, when scientific knowledge, scientific discoveries have managed to discover how these things is formed, it becomes what it is, etc. How it functions, how it relates between many elements of the ecosystem, etc. That is where there's no plausible reason to doubt of a creator or a designer or a God, right? So that's my statement, and the comment asked to elaborate further, right? So this is my attempt to briefly elaborate, but hopefully just give the point form of how my understanding or conclusion is being developed. We begin with something. I put something on the side here, just for illustration, right? There are certain things that you can consider as something beautiful, something magnificent, something that may cause you to go, wow, this is beautiful, or something that can still be argued that it is an effect or as a result of something random or something by accident or by chance, right? Okay, that's the word, by chance, right? There are certain things that if you ask, for example, something like that, and you see, wow, this is beautiful. Who make this? What do you mean who make this? This happened by accidents, by chance. Something drops and there you go, it happened, and that becomes the end result. If some people say something like that, right, it happens by chance, I can still accept the possibility of that. I can. It can happen. It can happen. It can happen, and it just appear to be beautiful rather than a big mess. But there are things where, in my words, I normally use the word system. If I detect some system in something, and some people say, if I ask who made this, who designed this, no, it just become like that by chance. I cannot accept that. For example, let's start very, very small, very, very basic, right? In our household, normally, I'm not sure whether this is a common thing worldwide. In my country, is a common thing. Like we want to have our tea or coffee or whatever that require boiling water, right? 3-in-1 of many things. If it is the first time that you see this electric kettle, right? How it functions, it is connected to the power plug. Press a button, it will heat up the water until certain temperature, and then it will stop when it reaches that point automatically. And if you disassemble it, you'll see there's a thermostat, there's a switch, there's a heating element that serve its function, right? Meaning that there's elements that cause the water to heat up, there's element to detect the temperature and stop when it does reach its objective, for example, right? So that is a very simple system, very simple system. If someone say that this happened by chance, this is become this assembly by chance, no one designed it, etc., is it easy to accept such assertion, such a claim. It's impossible to accept that, right? Logically, if you think rationally and logically, that doesn't make sense, right? Do you agree? At any point, if you don't agree, feel free to comment. No. Only even at this point, I no longer agree. It is possible for this to happen by chance. If you believe as such, feel free to comment. I would like to understand. If you have a vehicle, a car, we have the engine, and then there's also the radiator up front. Normally it is up front in the car, right? The engine needs to heat up as quick as possible, meaning, for example, if you start in the morning from it being at a normal temperature, for it to function at an optimum level, it needs to quickly rise to the temperature that is the optimum level of temperature. But however, when it reaches there, it is best that the temperature no longer rise and it is maintained there. Hence, the radiator will not circulate the water before the temperature reach that temperature, right? Meaning that because if it circulate, it will make the temperature of the engine to reach that optimum level very slowly. So we don't want that. And when it reach, and then suddenly the radiator will, or the system will circulate the water from the radiator to take the heat from the engine. So the water goes through the engine, it absorbs the heat, and then it goes to the radiator, and then with wind, it releases the heat to the wind, to the air, right? And the thermostat is functioning as when the temperature reaches a certain point for it to know that now it's to circulate or not, right? So if you just observe that, right, and see the system and see, oh, okay, this is how it functions, this is how it functions, etc. Is it possible for you to still accept anyone who claim that, this happens by chance? It happened by chance. No one decided this is the design. No one designed it. No one even think about what is required for this engine to be at a safe temperature, etc., etc., etc. Right? Can you accept that? The whole thing, the whole system, become what it is by chance, right? So, as an engineer, anyone who makes such a claim, I don't think you are, using your brain properly. You're not thinking logically. You're not using your rational. It's not possible to accept such a ridiculous claim, right? Okay, if you can accept that, what if we look at things, that we have, for example, right? So first, what system that we have? What kind of system that we have already observed and we can explain due to scientific discoveries? For example, we have respiratory system, right? Something happened there, right? Okay, it takes in air, and what's happened inside, and then I release back. If you haven't learned science, it seems that just air, right? We do not know that a certain type of gas that goes in, that is being absorbed, and then there's a different type of gas that is being released. For those who do not learn science, they would not realize all these systems that is in place. But for those who learn, they will learn about this, what we have discovered, the magnificent design that is in ourselves. For example, we start just what you can learn about ourselves. And for those who still say that, well, that system just become what it is by chance, that is such a big leap of faith, if you ask me. Every single element that is involved in this whole process, all of those are there by chance. Do you accept that? Or it is designed to function as such? And then, do you also accept that coincidentally, that our system that primarily absorb a certain gas, right, oxygen for example, and release carbon dioxide, and suddenly, coincidentally, there's another system, the plants, that absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Is it a coincidence? Meaning, coincidentally, by chance, I have this system, and by chance, the plants have that system, and by chance, it complement each other. Is it? Can you accept that? Is it logical and rational to think all of this by chance, coincidentally, just miraculously, coincidentally, perfectly coincidence? It's boggle my mind for those who still can put their faith on chance. So what are the systems that we can also take a look at? For example, we have digestive system, right? We experience, we eat something and then it goes in, and then later something comes out. There's different elements or organs that have its certain function. We have the liver, we have the pancreas, we have the stomach. Is that by chance? One of the most quote-unquote miraculous is reproduction system, right? Reproduction. So you can say about the whole spectrum of the pregnancy, right? From the beginning until it's ready to come out. All of those, there's a system there. How is the fetus or the baby inside get its nutrient, right? It's there for millions of years. The fetus, the baby inside died because at that time there's no umbilical cord that is connected from the mother to the child, to the baby, that feed. That's the question that I personally think that if you go about it and think for every single thing that we have learned in science, okay, how does it become evolved to this if it's not designed, right? Meaning that it takes countless of iteration of failed, or I don't know, things that the baby died because there's no food coming in, etc., right? So all of those, that is part of a system. Is it by chance? And after it goes out, coincidentally, by chance, the mother have milk. Or if we go before that, right? How the embryo, the baby, meaning what's the beginning? The beginning point, it starts with something that comes from the male body, right? Is that a coincidence as well? Coincidentally, the male produce something that when it goes inside a certain specific part of a female, it produces, that's the starting point towards a baby, right? Is that a coincidence that before it evolved into that, I don't know, how does a male and female evolve as such? Meaning all of those, because my question is to pose for those who think that this is all by chance, right? Meaning what possible explanation can you give to make sense of? Because the easiest, the most logical and rational conclusion is this is created. It cannot coincidentally this, because even one single system, to say that coincidentally by chance it happened and this, we have a nice system, that's even mind-bogglingly illogical and irrational for one to say that that can happen. What more, coincident with the corresponding system and corresponding, and the whole thing that we have uncovered by science right now, coincidentally all becomes those kind of system. It blew my mind that any scientist or anyone who learns science can still ignore this fact. I know that most either do not think about this because they say that I'm not interested in that. I'm interested to know just how this function, etc., how this work, so that we can find cures, etc., right? That is important, of course, to understand how the world works and to deal with what is needed based on those understanding. That is part of our job. As a Muslim, that's part of the work or the responsibility of the Khalifah. We have to find out that answer. But all of this signals and signs toward the fact that this is designed and created. If you choose to ignore that, that's your choice, and you have to answer for that. If you haven't learned about science, you would not realize it is a system. But if you look into it and see that, how all of these elements function and related to each other, you can see that, it is a system. It's a complete system there. Can this kind of system become a system by chance? No, it cannot. It can't. It's impossible. It's not logical. right? So, and if you combine, okay, having one and another one, and we are just looking at our human body. We haven't look, just look, just study the science is obvious. Hopefully this helped. Thank you for watching. See you next time.